Swear that was the impression I got. Here's the explanation. Things were going so well. I was enjoying my baccarat of lamb at the dining hall of the Baccarat Billiard Center. And then I was informed by my doctor, my ophthalmologist, that I've contracted baccarat cataracts. So I have to wear sunglasses at all times, no matter how
The
dark the
lengths you
indoors
will go
is.
to.
It struck me as funny, you know. So.
I like to strike you as funny.
I'm usually the first person I consult on whether something is has a comic potential.
Judge
But
and jury.
here's what I'm excited about. It's Cocaine Bear Week at the CleverCast.
You got to capture that, Kurt, when he takes his sunglasses off and the eyes pop and they say Cocaine Bear.
Yes, sir. I'm very excited. As a matter of fact, we have tickets to the 1:30 feature on Saturday. There's an Indian restaurant right next door where we have our mulligatawny soup and our spicy veggie curry.
All right.
And so I'm excited about that on Saturday. Cocaine Bear, one of those rare situations where Hollywood gives you a title that allows you to expect a certain thing when you sit down.
True.
A cocaine addicted bear.
That's what the movie is about. It's going to be about a cocaine bear.
A cocaine bear.
The 2 words. You can go up to the box office with pride and say, "Dude, a cocaine bear."
It used to be snakes on a plane, but now 2. We've cut it in half.
Not since Snakes on a Plane has there been such a succinct summary of what a movie is going to be about. If you walked up to a box office and said, "And can I have 2 tickets to the something lightness of being?" I don't know what that means. I hear there's some nudity in it. Would you mind if I bring a camera into the theater? How about some lube?
Oh.
No, it's Cocaine Bear. It's a true story because Hollywood doesn't know how to invent these things. They have no imagination. So they have to get a true story from Georgia about a bear that happened upon 75 pounds of cocaine. It drove him out of his mind, as it would drive anybody, except maybe Robert Downey Jr. 20 years ago.
Is Samuel L. Jackson in this
plane? I'm sorry?
Is Samuel L. Jackson in this one too? I think he should kind of have a thing going where he's on just those literal title movies.
Would you like to say it with me? Where he holds up the revolver?
I'm not going to say it, but you can. I'm going to keep it clean. I have a day job.
Well, you know, your time is coming, man. That's all I can tell you.
The bell tolls for thee. I gotcha. All right. All right.
I am fed up with the motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
I can appreciate it.
Doesn't get any more plain spoken than that.
One of the greatest lines in cinematic history.
Yes.
Hollywood keeps it simple. You've got a hit.
Amen, brother.
Simple as that. So we're excited. We're really looking forward to it.
Well, let me know how it goes. And if it's worth what is it now? 10 bucks? Maybe 12? How much are you paying in California? 15?
I don't know. It'd probably be 10 or 15. That's what's weird. I was paying 10. I was in New York paying 10 at the Angelica Film Center. And that was 20 years ago. So I don't understand why inflation hasn't taken hold of the box office.
Who is the star of Cocaine Bear? Or is it just a group of Hollywood wannabes who are kind of...
You know what? Interesting you should ask that. Ray Liotta's final role is in Cocaine Bear.
Very nice.
So let's show some respect.
I thoroughly enjoyed his last TV project, Blackbird. I thought it was very well done.
And he was in that movie where he just took a horrible beating. It was Brad Pitt was in it, and James Gandolfini.
This is a while back then.
Killing Them Softly, something like that. And it
Um,
was awesome noir filmmaking. I would recommend that. I can recommend Cocaine Bear already.
Sight unseen. I love it.
Snakes on a Plane. Hey, among our hundreds of viewers
Okay.
is a lady in Oklahoma who has requested
No.
personally to me by text that if we don't think we're going to be discussing any man sports in the wake of the Super Bowl, that we should discuss women's sports. And I told her, I agree completely.
Was it any of
2
my
days ago,
relatives?
fantastic overtime game between the number 1 South Carolina and Ole Miss. Last night, my adoptive alma mater, the women of UCLA, were playing basketball against Stanford. At the same time, my real alma mater was being beaten by Kansas. What are the odds of that?
What are the odds? Well, don't forget the women's U.S. soccer team is gearing up for the World Cup by playing in the She Believes Cup.
And Brittany Griner is about to be playing at least one more season with the Phoenix Mercury here in about 90 days. I follow these women's sports, man. You know how I love women.
Is that enough now? Have we done our service?
I don't think so. Because I had a Brittany Griner prisoner trade anecdote for you. I'm watching this handicapping show from the Circa casino sports book that airs every weekday morning. And one of these Neanderthals looks on his phone and goes, "Oh, good, we traded Brittany Griner for the Merchant of Death." And I wanted to say, "Hey, genius, Putin doesn't have any vaping basketball stars to trade for. All of the people that are in prison around the world in his name are criminals. So you're going to have to give up a criminal if you want to get back your vaping basketball star."
Yes, agreed.
And that's the name of that team.
I wonder if she's going to suffer any PTSD through this whole thing. I mean, in the locker room, which are confined areas. I mean, my goodness, that poor girl. So I don't know what's going to happen with her. Hopefully she'll be able to get back to normal.
I heard that price on the contract, or the 1-year contract, it was like 165 grand, and I'm thinking, I hope she's not saying to herself, I could make another 35 in Russia and get it up to 200 grand. No, Brittany, no, don't go back over there.
I hope she's not even going to ever utter the word Russia again. Saying yet to that.
What kind of salad would you like on your what kind of dressing would you like on your salad, Miss Griner? Surely not surely not Russian. Please tell me it's Thousand Island or a ranch or something like that. Yeah, that would bring back all kinds of memories. You know, I thought I was in bad shape. 2 weeks strapped to a bed in the hospital last June. And
Right.
then I finally got out. And once I got the hang of the sepsis, I was on my road to recovery. And then she got, arrested and detained, jailed for 10 months.
Right.
The lesson here is that there's someone who's always got it worse. You know,
You're right.
Self-pity is not a good look.
You're right. You're so right.
Just when you think that a winter storm has inconvenienced you, you realize that there are legless soldiers in the Ukraine who need prosthetic.
I shrug off these snowstorms. I mean, we can all work from home these days. We can, there's no rush to get kids to daycare anymore. It's all less stressful. Just watch the snow fly, right, Kurt?
Thanks to the tech. The tech is the savior. The tech is the answer to a prayer. No doubt about it. And yet, it's kind of a deceptive deal, because even though we have this tech that joins us, podcasts, at least to me, come down to notes.
Notes. Oh, those are notes.
Holy cow, someone's doing homework.
Chicken scratching.
A little kid came up to me the other day and said, "Mister, you look like a podcaster." I said, "Well, as it turns out, I am a podcaster. How did you know?"
CleverCaster. Yes.
recognize your notes. How do I get to be a podcaster? And I told him that what you do is you mow a lot of lawns, help mom around the house, wash the dishes and stuff, help dad fix the car, save your allowance. And then when you have saved about $1,200, you can spend that for a night at the Pierre Hotel in New York and grab one of their scratch pads and take it home and put notes on it for your podcast. It's just as simple as that.
I love the fact you're doing voices now.
If you test my patience, I will give you my Samuel L. Jackson again. I don't think you want that. Or you know what? I could do that in other people's voices. Here's
Yes.
Truman Capote. I'm fed up with these motherfuckers thing on this motherfucking plane.
Do Garrison Keillor.
I'm fed up with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. I wonder if he's still doing that, where his voice just kind of fades off at the end.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. He's got to
And
do
that's the
something.
news from Lake Wobegon, where the motherfucking snakes on the fucking plane. All the men are handsome, and the women are nymphomaniacs, and the children are latchkey children. Can't get in until after 7 o'clock at night for some reason. Last time I heard from him, he was in big trouble. I don't know what, for some sort of sex harassment or
Yeah,
something.
he touched a woman's butt or something like that. He claims it was innocent or it was a mistake or an accident, and he was properly canceled. And then he came back, and then I don't know, who knows anymore what happens to these guys.
And then he was like playing the Fridley VFW or something.
Right.
You know,
that's where you end up, the Fridley VFW.
I would advise any guy who was tempted to touch a woman's buttocks without at least notifying her first, that you have a butt of your own, and it could be pleasant to touch your own, and it really saves on the fines and the prison time and the legal bills. So consider that, Garrison, you pervy.
Or
So-and-so.
Or you end up in prison and somebody is touching your butt.
We don't want that, certainly. There's something else I could do in Garrison Keillor's voice. Don't drop the soap. Don't drop the soap. That's the news from Lake Wobegon. Starting to sound like Walter Cronkite.
A little bit Walter Cronkite.
That's the way it is.
You ever think about the old school guys who, in the newsroom especially, who, like, if they lived in these times, would have been canceled just like the rest. I mean, Walter Cronkite, he had to do something to an intern back in the day.
Oh, he probably had groupies who exhausted him, and so that he was not tempted. As I was saying about women's sports, and see, here's where it'd be nice to have some sort of visual signal that we're coming back to a subject.
Kind of a full circle. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. I would watch, I wonder if you agree with this, either or both of you. I would rather watch women play tennis, golf, and basketball than watch men play those sports. Tennis, golf, and basketball. Because I'm shallow and there are attractive women who play tennis and golf.
That's true.
And then with the basketball, if a parent came to me back when my daughters were playing and said, how do I get my daughter on the path to a basketball career? I would say, every time the Connecticut Huskies come on the TV, watch their games. The Gino Auriemma Connecticut Huskies. They are as fundamentally sound as it gets in any walk of life. Crisp chest passes, concentration, for the shooting, boxing out for the rebound, fundamentally sound. Watch the Connecticut Huskies. Even now, they don't have the number one team, but I love their fundamentals. He's always stressed that. So
Yes.
that's what I would do. That's my 2 cents on women's sports.
You know what sport I was always partial to for obvious reasons? Volleyball. Have you ever watched a good volleyball game?
Doggone it, that's once again, you're reading what's left of my mind. I love the TV the TV practically naked women's volleyball on the beach on the sand.
I've talked to, well, this is odd, but I've talked to several high school girls, my kids' friends, who said in the past they have not gone out for the volleyball team because of the short shorts. So not always.
Oh, really? Because they're modest?
Quite revealing, yes. I mean, not to even mention beach volleyball. You've seen some of the Olympic beach volleyball games that
yes,
the Brazilian team.
right.
So
you have to have a Brazilian before you can be on the Brazilian team.
Amen. Yes.
Because of the brevity of the pantaloons.
The way you say
I get it.
Yes.
I get it. I thought that it was about hydraulics. I thought it was about aerodynamics, that the less you wore, the higher you could jump, or the faster you could backpedal to get a ball that was headed back to the baseline. But I just think that, you know what I think of the female form? I've worshipped it since I was this high. And I love the women's volleyball. So that's 4 sports I would rather watch women do than any other. Certainly basketball for sure. I can't stand watching men play basketball. NBA is like watching bad sex. Not just participating in bad sex, watching bad sex. That's the NBA to me.
Okay. What about the short-lived women's lingerie football league?
You know what? I never got to see any of that.
You didn't dabble.
Is that available online?
I think it is. I don't think there's any current seasons, but I think you can go back and watch past tapes.
And what were the years? What was the heyday of that league?
I want to say probably within the last 10 years.
Well, I'll have to make a note of it.
Yeah, make a note of it on your Pierre pad.
Yeah.
Just giving you ideas. That's what I'm here for.
Do you agree with me though that that those 4 sports are just as artfully done by well, in the case of professional golf, chubby Korean lesbians?
Right. No, you're right. I mean, until they come up with a female professional slapping league, then we really can't judge it, because from what I've seen from the video you shared with me, it is mostly chubby guys of all races, religions, and creeds with beards and generally this dull look on their faces.
I hope that V8 is one of the sponsors. I could have had a V8.
Fruit punch.
What was it? What's it called? The slap. What is it? The
slap fighting something. You sent me the link, and now
and you know who innovated it? Dana White, the guy who got in trouble for being seen and recorded in real life slapping his wife. That's the guy.
No, but it's the slap fighting league, and yeah, they're quite a ragtag bunch of animals.
Incidentally, I would not. I know that there is a women's division of this UFC and extreme fighting and whatnot. I just find all of that barbaric. I don't spend a second with that. So help me God. There was a restaurant, like you're on 65 toward Blaine in the Twin Cities.
Okay.
There's a restaurant that was showing extreme fighting during the dinner hour. So that if you were ever bored with dinner conversation, you look up at the screen and people's skin is coming off and heck and paw like jets of blood are coming out of their faces.
An eye gouge or two. Oh yes, I would be.
And it certainly did not make me want the ketchup or the Bloody Mary.
A cauliflower ear with your cauliflower soup. It would just be the worst.
I just I don't understand why it exists, frankly. I don't see them as athletes. I see them as thugs. And frankly, I'm amazed that maybe I'm amazed. There's a great idea for a song title.
Thank you, Paul.
That someone has not died from it. You knock a guy down and you can get down on all fours on top of him and pummel his face until, I don't know, a policeman or someone comes in and steps in and saves the guy's life. That's the sport.
Yeah, I don't.
I
Yeah,
can't believe what our culture allows these days.
because how many boxers have died in the ring? I mean, there was what was
Billy the Kid Perret in my youth was killed
yeah,
by Emil Griffith.
and who did Boom Boom Mancini? Didn't Boom Boom Mancini knock
He
somebody?
did. Duke Koo Kim.
Yes.
Duke Koo Kim in Korea. That's correct.
So there's just a
I believe
handful
it's
of
Korea.
boxers. I mean,
I'm sorry.
for most boxers, I guess it's the slow death because your brain.
Well,
is
look at
scrambled.
Muhammad Ali. Find the Muhammad Ali Larry Holmes fight online and make sure you have plenty of facial tissue nearby because it's not pretty and you're going to cry
Oh,
because he had no business climbing in the ring with an able-bodied man. He was all screwed up inside his head
yes.
from the constant pounding he had taken to make enough money to pay the ex-wives. That's what it all comes down to, is the ex-wives. You're lucky that you have not been divorced. I have been, and
Hey,
I've never understood. Welcome back. How'd it go? I've never understood why dissatisfaction with a spouse has to manifest itself in infidelity. Why couldn't it translate to more golf, for instance? Why couldn't she have come into the bedroom and said, I hope you can explain these scorecards that I found hidden beneath your jammy bottoms. I see one from Braemar. I see one from Meadowbrook. I see one from Theo Worth. According to the one from Theo Worth, you had birdies on consecutive holes. I know that can't be true. You've never had back-to-back birdies in your life. And the business on the Braemar card about the eagle, you've got to be kidding me. You must think I'm stupid. This affair with golf, this whole Sicilian thing,
yes,
it must end. I'm trying to borrow from Diane Keaton in Godfather 2.
All I know is that I've lived and learned from you, Bob. It's just like you think you're the guiding light, and I've always learned how to do things and what to do and what to avoid. You've always been
and what the connective tissue here conversationally is that I stayed in that gulag-like hellscape that you live in order to raise the children, stay in it for the children until it was time for me to be legally banished from the domicile.
Yes.
And then guide the youngsters to a path of what's the term? Where you stay married where you stay married all the time. My son, one wife, my middle child, one husband, one grandson, so happy ending. Am I right?
That's true.
Can't
A
be
great,
tough.
a great,
but it's more of what's it? I'm losing my mind. I can't think of the term. A platonic happy ending. That's what it is.
yeah,
Okay.
that's all you need. All you need is
Yeah.
Nick.
May I consult my notes?
Yes, please. The Pierre notes.
I'm kidding. I wanted to get a plug in, not just for our viewer, one of hundreds, by the way, not just in Oklahoma, but around the country. I'm actually concerned that soon people may Google Kel Gradke and get those horrible Google questions about the people that are being searched. How tall is Kel Gradke? How old is Kel Gradke? Is Kel Gradke married? Is Kel Gradke a Republican? Does Kel Gradke drive a sedan? Have you seen those stupid questions about people that you search? I don't know. Well, how is that supposed to help me?
I hope not. Have you been searching me lately?
No, I've not, but I don't want to have to go there and see those questions because the podcast has become so popular. That is my point.
That's true.
Kurt,
Yes.
do you fear your privacy being intruded upon by Google when the podcast becomes extremely popular?
I'm getting ready for it. I'm losing weight, ready to take on all the fame. I'm just ready to
All
go.
right. Now, see, that's the Lisa Marie Presley way of doing things. You want to lose lots of weight in advance of
And
the
die
big
early.
night, and then you go like this. And before you know it, you're being laid to rest next to your son who committed suicide. Happy ending, a platonic happy end. No, of course not. No, I want to recognize someone else right now, someone who helped get me through my 20s in Texas, when you know that when I lived in Texas, my main goal from little on was to get out of Texas. And she was able to rescue me. Her writing would put me in another place, and not Texas, a place where I would thrive intellectually. In the 20s, the Village Voice would come to me every week by the miracle of the United States Postal Service. This is before the online, conveniences, right? And her name is Laurie, Laurie, as in Hugh Laurie, the actor. Laurie Stone wrote for the Village Voice, and I followed her writing on all things political, local, national, cultural, feminist related. And wouldn't you know it, we go our separate ways. She to pursue a career, and me to do the same, and a family, whatnot. I opened up the laptop this past Saturday, and I thought I recognized her name in the byline from the Paris Review, which continues to send me emails, even though they know I'm not going to re-up my subscription. And she's the same subversive, provocateur feminist that I knew and loved in my 20s, which may have been her 20s also, now that I think about it. So I want everyone who is interested in that kind of raw, honest writing, which I'm about to excerpt from in just a couple of seconds, to go to lauriestonewriter.com or lauriestone.substack.com, because she was there in the New York's lawless 70s when stuff post Stonewall was happening that was very influential, I thought. So I think you would enjoy her writing. Here's what I found this past weekend when I opened up her part of the Paris Review email, and it really brought back some memories. This is how she writes. And after you're done reading what she's written, you just go, well, that was just freaking exhilarating. I just don't see that kind of honesty every day. Certainly not from, Sports Illustrated or Hustler, you know what I'm saying? She had just seen, and maybe one of you has seen it, this Netflix documentary on Leonard Cohen.
Oh, I haven't.
Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with this Leonard Cohen, but
I saw one on him a couple of 3 years ago. It was about some special relationship he had with a person, a woman, and didn't surprise me because he was quite the ladies' man before he became a monk, But there's a new documentary about the song Hallelujah.
Okay.
On Netflix. Okay, so she's just seen this, and she says, I always wondered what women wanted from Leonard. I think they wanted what they thought the songs were about. In the songs, a man is thinking about how to get the woman, and he thinks he can get her by figuring out what she wants. Leonard is imagining what it would be like to be a woman with a man coming on to her. There were scenes in the documentary I saw a couple of 3 years ago in LA. I wish I could remember the title. Boy, this guy could put on a glare, a glance, just a pose. It was like one of those I'll eat you later things. He just had lust dripping from every pore, this guy. So she says, this is great. This is basically the opposite of every other song written by a man about a woman. For example, and here's where she really got my attention, because the guy she's about to name, I lived next door to in Malibu for 3 years. For example, as in his entire life, Bob Dylan has never imagined the effect of his lyrics on a woman. Or else, the words would be not so sneering. and he would give us a picture of the woman and not just her effect on him. Bob doesn't address women. He writes to men about women. He can do what he likes, but not once in my life did I think Bob Dylan would be a good fuck. Every woman on the planet has thought Leonard Cohen would be a good fuck. You don't read stuff like that every day that is that heartfelt and that raw, and yes, profane, but did she get her point across or what? I mean,
Yes.
I don't know whether you saw the news. Somebody tried to accuse Dylan last year, the year before, of some sort of sex abuse on an underage person. And after a while, the allegations just kind of flaked away and faded and whatnot. And I doubt seriously that I have had a forum for which to tell this sidebar addendum type story, but in a Mexican restaurant on West 7th Street in St. Paul, in the shadow of the XL Energy Center, of all places, a Mexican restaurant, eating outdoors. There's this Hawaiian guy with a ukulele who's going from table to table singing a song called Ray Rady Ray. And so it's obviously Dylan, right? And as he goes to another table, the woman I'm with gets this dreamy look on her face.
Oh,
She's about 10, 15 years younger than me. And she says, I slept with Bob Dylan. And so I went into Woody Allen mode. I went, come again. I'm sorry. Would you mind repeating that? And she says, I met him after his concert in Detroit in 1981. I was 18. He was 41. He was very sweet. So I told her, again, with my horrible Woody Allen impersonation, I'll bet, I said, excuse me, have a nice life. I got to go write a screenplay about this, about a guy who's been preemptively cuckolded by his idol.
yeah.
And if it's true what she's saying, he's got to end the relationship because he just can't measure up, right? So that's what I did. And here's a title. You want to talk about getting back to square one. It's like Cocaine Bear or Snakes on a Plane. The title of the script was My Girlfriend Slept with Bob Dylan.
Okay.
And I was dreaming of the merchandise of 4-year-olds wearing T-shirts that said, My girlfriend slept with Bob Dylan. So the agent, horrible agent, the kind of agent you get when you've only won prestigious fellowships and not had any sales. She tells me on the phone, I am not showing this to Bob Dylan because I'd written a part in there for him. You know, where the
Yeah, that might have been.
the hero has finally gotten to the guy to find a way to ask him, is this true? Well, you know, Bob Dylan's not going to remember, you know, shags on the road, for God's sake. The last thing you want to be if you're reincarnated is to have to operate the Bob Dylan penis cam. You have no idea where it's been. So
Dylan penis count.
she said, I'm not showing this to Bob Dylan. Haven't you noticed that in your script, he's 41 and she was 18 at the time? And I
Right.
said, that's what happened. That's what she told me. The woman worked for Minnesota state government. When I got home, I Googled her. This would have been early aughts, let's say 2004 or 5. I hope she's retired now and having a nice life. If I were her, I would have like a button on my lapel that says, I slept with Bob Dylan. But she was it was almost like she had to be reminded of it. That the Hawaiian guy with the ukulele reminded her, oh yeah, I slept with Bob Dylan. I just think that's the most amazing reaction to that kind of external stimuli. And so the conversation maybe lasted another 3 minutes. And seriously, I excused myself and raced home to start this script, and which I thought was damn good. But apparently the agent didn't think he would want to be involved in a script that you know, had him converging after a show with someone who was 23 years younger, while he was married with children, and who knows, maybe grandchildren by that time. I don't know. Also, Laurie Stone makes an excellent point about Bob Dylan as a sexual creature. I have always had trouble imagining that. Not with Chris Christopherson, not with Leonard Cohen, not with anybody else you could mention. For some reason, I have difficulty visualizing Dylan with a woman. I think that's because he's just he's so constantly diffident, aloof, a jerk. He said in his new book, basically, in order for me to be creative, I've got to be a jerk to you. I've got to, not look at you. I've got to turn away from you. I've got to not say anything to you while I'm doing my show. That's what I need to do in order to be creative. Maybe that's why I've had trouble picturing him with a woman, even though he obviously has been. He was married to Sarah for many years, had a couple of 3 kids and then grandkids and whatnot. Is that a hell of a story?
It's amazing. I love it. What was that movie a few years ago that was about Bob Dylan? It was, I think there were different actors playing him. And like you said, like you have a hard time picturing him with a woman.
Yeah.
A woman played him in that movie too, right? Was it Kate Blanchett?
Lydia Tarr. Why Kate Blanchett played him in I'm Not There.
Right. I'm Not There. That's it. So
the gay guy, Todd, I can't think of his last name. Great director. And a lot of people played their version of Bob Dylan.
Right.
Just about anybody with bushy hair in Hollywood played him in that movie.
Exactly. The other one about Bob is that there's a new book about him called Philosophy of Modern Song. And they say it's pretty good.
That's the new book.
Okay.
That's the new book. I would recommend it too, by the way. There are a lot of great production values in that book. It's a real slick production, although there are critics who have had their problems with what he said about certain songs.
Okay. Very interesting.
And it goes without saying that Don't Look Back is available on a number of platforms, including Criterion, if you want to see something from the mid 60s.
I own that one. It's a great.
Do you really?
Yes.
But for now, Leonard Cohen's doc about the song Hallelujah on Netflix is the next order of business in this household. I guess you know the background there. He wrote the song with all these, choruses and stanzas and whatnot. He takes it to Columbia or whatever the label was. They laughed him out of the building. They said, "Don't come back. We don't want to see you ever again." And to show you how much they know, it's one of the most top 10 beloved songs of all time. And people have covered it. Hundreds of people have covered it.
Oh yeah, after 9/11, it really took off, and everybody was covering it. It was crazy. I mean, it's a great song.
So that's the doc on Netflix that we're going to watch. Also, let me recommend as long as I'm going to recommend Cocaine Bear, which hasn't played once in any market yet. I can recommend the new season of Party Down.
Oh, okay.
Have you read about that series?
Yeah, they brought back the whole cast, right?
Except for Lizzie Kaplan, yes.
She's busy. I gotcha.
What we're trying to do here, to give you some idea of our free time, is that we're trying to binge through the first 2 seasons before we get to the new 3rd season, which begins on Friday.
That's good thinking.
Americans have a whole different set of problems. I think you'll agree.
Can I recommend a show I just started watching?
Absolutely.
Poker Face. Poker Face?
Natasha Lyonne?
Yes. Fantastic. It's just like the old, she's got the same mannerisms as Peter Falk in Columbo. It's amazing. Makes me want to go back and watch Columbo now.
But she's got a great supporting cast too, doesn't she?
Oh, every episode has a different set of actors. It's like she's going across the U.S. running away from something, and I
love that.
Fascinating. So yeah.
Whenever I see evidence of Hollywood lip service or creativity, I got to be there to enjoy it until somebody realizes, this looks too creative. I don't know. I think we ought to go back to the superhero thing. You got anything more from Marvel we can do?
So what do you think of Ant-Man?
Is Paul Rudd busy today? Mr. Ant-Man?
Do you subscribe to all the streaming services?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Netflix, Hulu, Vudu, Boo Boo.
The Voodoo that you do.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do? Apple TV?
It's up there. It's waiting to be used, but you have to jump through so many hoops after not being on it for a while. Where's my password? Blah, blah, blah. They really make it tough on you. With easy. Severance, I couldn't get in to see that or the Emily Dickinson thing because I was constantly misplacing my password. There ought to be something more forgiving, more user-friendly from Apple Plus, if you ask me,
Oh, that's
to accommodate the elderly,
yeah.
memory problems and psyche and so on.
Well, I'm sure you write them a letter.
I love that. I'm looking like Ben Stiller in the movie Greenberg. I'm constantly writing angry letters. As a matter of fact, to my own doctor, a couple of days ago, I said, how is it that I'm only getting 10 days of Cialis? I need more than 10 days. I don't use Cialis for party pleasure. I use it for prostate therapy so I can stay alive. And so help me God, this man with a medical degree works for UCLA in Malibu, writes me and says, you better be glad you got 10 of them. There's all kinds of drug shortages around the country. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go to CVS and I'm going to kick some ass. And I'm going to leave there with at least my typical month supply of Tadalafil. Remember that name, Tadalafil.
All right, spell it.
Tadalafil.
All right. And how did
Nestle's
that work
makes
out
the
for
very
you?
best
Did you walk?
chocolate.
Did you walk out with some?
No, I'm going there tomorrow, and I should probably call and warn them ahead of time
Well,
that I'm coming in to pick up some thyroid medicine that I take first thing in the morning. I'm all about the prescription
you have a pill box.
vortex.
Mm-hmm. Bobby's
I'm
taking
actually
the
looking forward
Mondays.
to it.
Now he's gone the Tuesdays.
Oh, wow. I'll tell you who I saw at the Malibu CVS one day. That guy with the cosmetics line, John something something. You remember him, the bearded guy who was on the commercials?
Oh,
Had his own line of cosmetics.
oh
I think it
my.
was John something something.
John something something.
And I also saw Stacy Keach's brother in line at the pharmacy.
Just because you thought he looked like Stacy Keach.
Get ready for this. I
Oh.
also saw the huge black man on ESPN.
Stuart Scott, he's dead.
Huh?
It's Stuart Scott.
No, it former athlete, Keyshawn.
Keyshawn Johnson from the Jets?
Exactly.
Oh.
He's in LA and contributes the his LA thing from locally here, and he was at the pharmacy. Isn't that bizarre?
Well, I'll be.
Have you ever seen any Minnesota? Did you ever see Prince walking outside a Walgreens, wondering where his next fentanyl was coming from?
Not really, no. The closest, my daughter was at a coffee shop in downtown Minneapolis and ran into two, going again, full circle, women's sports. She ran into two members of the U.S. women's soccer team at a Minneapolis coffee shop and got pictures taken, a selfie taken with them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's the way life ought to be. You ought to have to, wade through the celebrities to get the hell where you want to go.
Exactly.
I was watching, back to women's sports, if I may, and I'll keep going until Kurt gives me the high sign, but I'm watching South Carolina and Ole Miss, and the ghost of Red Fox sat down next to me and said, you know what? I haven't seen as many black women since the Tarzan movies.
Oh, no. Well, we almost made it without a race joke.
No, here's the deal. You can quote people and get away with it. I didn't say it. The ghost of Red Fox said it.
That's true.
Aren't you familiar with the Barbara Carlson rule?
Yes.
Aren't you familiar with the Barbara Carlson rule?
Oh.
At KSTP, she was interviewing Yul Brynner's son, Rock, who had written a book about his dad, Yul Brynner. And Barbara, thinking that you can, because it's been published, you can quote from the book in the interview. I can tell you exactly where I was standing when she said this. And after she said it, I went to one knee to say a prayer and then fall down unconscious. She said, how does this go? She goes, you quote your father as saying an actor must lead with his cock. What did he mean by that? And as soon as she said that, I just, I was like,
touched your heart.
Amelie in the bistro. I just splashed in a puddle of water on the floor. That's the Barbara Carlson rule.
Okay.
See, she thought she could quote Yul Brynner by Wavis Son. I'm quoting The Ghost of Red Fox.
Yeah, and then Red Fox also when you clutched your heart and said, "I'm coming, I'm coming."
Elizabeth,
Elizabeth.
remember?
Yes, I love
I'm
it.
coming, Elizabeth.
I'm surprised they remake every TV series. I swear, Magnum PI and Quantum Leap. Why don't they remake Sanford and Son?
Okay, who would you cast in that?
I don't know. Would you go a different nationality, not African
How about
American?
this? Didn't Fred Savage briefly, before he was banished from the entertainment community, he was directing a black version of
Wonder Years.
Wonder Years.
Yes, that's
So
good.
it would be a situation like that.
Yes.
So someone
Well,
who's an old how about let's do a white Sanford and Son.
okay.
Who's an old white guy?
You.
No, what?
And I'll
I
be your
would love
son.
to play a white red fox.
And I
Who
would
my
love to be
son
your son. I'd love to be Lamont. Could I be
Oh,
Lamont?
God, I don't know. Hollywood's an incestuous business. I don't know. I don't know if I could handle that even conceptually.
And who would play your Wanda? Was it Wanda or LaWanda? Who was the woman?
Wanda Page,
Yes.
fantastic. And the guy who played Grady, we'd need a Grady, and we'd need an Aunt Esther. That's exactly right. Aunt Esther, I think somebody. It was something about ugly cookies. Somebody took your face and
gorilla
made some
cookies.
ugly
It was
cookies.
gorilla cookies. Something with
Gorilla cookies. That's what it was. The only
Oh.
thing is that ethnic humor is going to fall flat with a white cast. So we would have to make them nerds or something. That's all I know to do.
I know.
I'll pitch that, Kel.
All
I'm
right.
not kidding you.
I'll
I
get
will
some.
call someone tomorrow and pitch a white Sanford and Son.
All right.
If
Well,
we've accomplished nothing else in today's edition of the podcast, we've gotten people excited about the writings of Laurie Stone, and we've gotten people excited about watching women's sports, and we've cast a white Sanford and Son. I think, that's
check,
pretty damn good.
check, check, check. We can mark it all off the list.
You check all the boxes.
This should be a theme of the show. Every show we should do a side hustle. Find some kind of side hustle for the podcast.
All right, and what you mean, like a title after the fact? How are you describing that?
Oh, some kind of get rich scheme.
Yeah,
show.
get rich
Let's for a show come up with some kind of side hustle with some that makes some money.
Right.
I want you boys to make the money so I can continue to run amok conversationally and not charge for it.
So I think,
all right.
Yeah, I think
On that note, ... it's cocktail hour.
Yes, we'll see you after your excursion to CVS. You'll respond with how it all went on Thursday. Perfect.
And then I'm going to drive up Stewart Ranch Road to the UCLA medical offices and show him here. I'll simulate it. Take that, you son of a bitch. A month's supply of tadalafil. Now I'm going to run home and work up an erection just to spite you.
You can clip that on its own and turn it into a commercial.
And next time, which would be Thursday, I think I will have some fake commercials to use as dividers, like segment dividers and whatnot, to make it look like we're organized and we know what the hell we're doing.
We use different voices too, and just do a whole.
Why not? Why do I want different voices? I called Russell Westbrook the other day at the dealership. I said, "Is Russell there?" And they said, "Russell doesn't work here." I said, "But his name's on the dealership." And I can't pronounce my Maserati. There are 4 or 5 words after the car's name, and I can't pronounce. Will you have Russell call me back? Okay, so Truman Capote from the grave, goddammit. Who does it sound like? It's a link.
I don't recall you doing any voices in all the years that we worked together.
You've never heard a lame Truman Capote impersonation? It sounds a little like, who's that cartoon character? The guy with the big mustache,
Oh,
the cowboy. I can't
not
think of his name.
Yosemite Sam.
That's exactly right, Kel. Well done.
We better turn this thing off. It's going off the rails.
And I'm totally sober, but I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to drink.
We haven't done that. That's what we have to do with our next one. We have to play happy hour and get our drinks and just start.
Well, you want now you're going to cast a human equivalent of Cocaine Bear? Is that your goal?
That's my goal. Because we
All
ain't
right,
gonna
take
done
care.
the
I'm reaching
water.
for the button now.
All right.
So long.
Bye,
So
guys.
long.